Thank you very much. Thank you for your introduction. So as you said, I'm working in a secondary school, so I always have to do with all the teenagers. So these interdisciplinary workshop engages upper secondary students in, let's say, a powerful exploration of World War I poetry through the lenses of propaganda, historical context, and poetic voice. Trying to combine literature, history, civic education, digital skills. This lab I did with my students really fosters critical thinking, creativity, and student agency. And one thing that I really would like to stretch is replicable, in the sense that you could do it with your students, with other literary topics, because it's not just the topic that makes the lab, it's the way we structure it, fostering critical thinking and creativity. So through active learning strategies, such as the circle of viewpoints, thinking routines, students analyze contrasting perspectives, from patriotic ideas of Robert Brooke to the grim reality of trench warfare with Alfred Owen. They will work in group, they will interpret historical posters, propaganda, they will explore poetic language, and they co-construct meaningful material using these thinking routines. In a moment, we are going to see all the steps, but I just want to give you an idea of what you are going to see in these 40 minutes. What is the most innovative element? The fact that students interact with AI-based literary chatbots, and they will also create AI-generated talking images, stimulating their critical thinking. So they deepen their understanding, and they also enhance their engagement. But students are given voice and choice in their inquiry, in the way they decide to organize the project work. In the end, the workshop culminates in a multimedia production with AI-generated images, with text and voice recording on an online free repository. And there is, in the end, a reflective session for self-assessment and group discussion, because we do not just focus on the outcome, we focus on the process of creating. And this is a very important metacognitive step for students, also for teachers, by the way. And by integrating digital storytelling, AI, and active methodologies, this lab really nurtures an innovative mindset and prepare learners for...
Daisy, yeah? Apologies for interrupting you, but if I am not mistaken, we are only seeing your initial slide.
Okay.
There
so yeah,
are.
yeah, okay. It was meant to be so, no problem, because it's not a problem, because I was coming to this idea of innovative mindset, and it's okay, because we have to change the way we were taught probably in the past in the traditional school, when we had to follow a curriculum. But going back to the words that were said at the beginning of these 3 days conferences by Christopher Graham, innovation is the key. And he really said something that resonated in me. He said that we need innovation more than ever. And we are moving into really challenging times where students are really more competent in English, because of course they are exposed to a completely new way of absorbing language, TikTok. When I say language, I mean English language. Okay, so TikTok, videos, Netflix. So we are happy to have more confident and more competent students, but we have to stimulate them with different means. So the traditional school system with books and exercises doesn't work anymore. So taking a quote from George Couros, you can see here in the slide: we can fight change, we can adapt to change, we can embrace change, create change, or lead change. No matter your choice, it is not going away. What does it mean? It means we have to be innovative. We have to change the way we teach. And with this workshop, I'm going to show you, I will try to give you an example. I'm not saying that this is the best way, but it is a way to innovate our teaching. And we can really connect with our students. We can have fun teaching, and they can have fun learning. And the process is important. So if we go on with the slide, just a moment. Okay, so what is the role of the teacher nowadays in our society when we want to get Gen Z and Gen Alpha to be engaged? We have to empower students to investigate and make an impact in the world, to become problem solvers and innovators. How? Sparking curiosity, igniting passion, and unleashes genius. It means that we really try to do something that is out of the box, a bit different. We're not just reading poetry. Of course we are, but then we try to make an impact by doing something that is unusual. And when something is not supposed to be like this, in the sense that when students are confronting with a school reality, which is different. When I ask them, okay, we are going to the lab, we are doing something which is a surprise today, they feel they are at least more curious, and curiosity is important. And then, of course, you have in this idea of project-based learning, because students are working cooperatively in groups, you really have to engage them and sparking curiosity. And one aspect that is fundamental here, you give students voice and choice. Because they have to be able to express their talents into something that they are connecting to school activity, which is not always the case. So the role of the teacher is to have a positive impact on students, make students feel valued. And so you ensure a positive interaction with them. So very quickly, I don't know if you are familiar with this person, George Kouros, but he really was a game changer in my, let's say, education, because I read this book, The Innovator's Mindset. And by the way, I got to know just yesterday that there is a new book coming out, but I'm not talking about this. The Innovator's Mindset is really a powerful reading, because it makes you really understand what you are as a teacher, as an educator. So we need to be empathetic, being open to the other, to the students, and trying to get in touch with them. We are problem solver and problem finder. Okay, so we ask students to reflect and to use their critical thinking in doing things. Teachers are risk takers, because if you focus on the change and you try something new, sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you fail. It's okay to fail, okay? I remember that I saw some times ago a picture, an acronym of FAIL, first attempt in learning. What a wonderful discovery, okay? So if we take the risk, it means we are open to change. And sometimes we are lucky, sometimes we are not, but at least we are trying. And we are modeling innovative figures for our students, because we have to remember that we are not talking about an education which means using the best device. We are talking about of helping our students becoming better humans. So it's okay to try, it's okay to stimulate them. And then, of course, one aspect is also the networking aspect. So we need to work together. It's not always very easy, but we always try. A teacher must be observant, creator, resilient, and reflective. I think these are all characteristics that can resonate with us, because if we are here, it means we are innovators, because we want to see what's what's going on in the teaching panorama, and we want to get some new inspiration. I have been following the conference 3 days, and I took a lot of notes, and I got inspired by all the speakers, and I'm really grateful for this. So thank you. And I hope to give you some ideas. So we are going to. So our aim is to transform our students into critical thinkers. So I thought that this picture could really get the idea what we want to do. We really want to transform the student into an empowered citizen of the future. So from a passive learner, if you think about the traditional classroom setting, very static, maybe also a bit boring, okay? So that could have been, for example, teaching word one poetry just with book and exercises into something more active. So we integrate different subjects, literature, history, and civics, active citizenship. Then AI interaction, something new. Okay, so we have to deal with accept the challenging time, and we try to use AI, of course, with respect, with ethics, and regulations are changing every day. 2 days ago, there was the new DigComp 3.0 released. So we have to learn. So we are teachers, but we need to learn how to deal with the new tools we have. And then we ask our students to explore different perspectives with the thinking routine, examining, contrasting with viewpoints. And then in the end, with a general reflection, we will have this active citizenship, which is highly stimulated because students become critical, creative, and engaged. So I think this is our end goal. So with this in mind, I think we can really get a bit into the topic. So using AI, I'm not seeing the chat from here, but I would like to ask you, are you using any AI tools in your everyday activity? Of course, we are talking about older teenagers, but you can also use AI with the help of the teacher. Also, of course, remembering the ethical implication of this. Are you using AI? Let's see. Okay. ChatGPT, okay. Gemini or Gemini, okay. Any other Poe, okay, right. These are LLM, okay. Are you using any other site, maybe, that you are familiar with? Because actually ChatGPT and Gemini are not really done for school. They are okay, so perfect. I cannot pronounce your name, Thien Pham Nguyen Dui. Okay, Notebook LM is really a game changer at school. Claude, Grammarly is very useful also for us, for teachers. It helps writing in the correct way. You love Grammarly. Okay, Canva. Yeah, of course. Canva AI to Twee, Ophelia. Yes, I also love Twee. I have also created some very, for me, very useful activities using Twee. Okay, so no one mentioned other chat bots. I'm very happy because now today I can show you the chatbot that I use. Okay, Mizu. There are, of course, a lot of other chatbots, but my activity was done with it. And I will also show you the name and the activity with an AI which creates speaking pictures. Of course, everything I show you is I use the free version, okay? So thank you for interacting, first of all. So if you use AI in your learning, you personalize it. And of course, as in everything, you can have some pros and some cons. the positive aspect is that the experience gets deeper if you do it in the right way. It really enhanced the experience. The environment is just yours, done for you. For example, when I create chatbot about Rupert Brooke, I gave the prompts that I really wanted, that I created something for my lesson, tailored to the age, so age appropriate for my students and so on. I will share the prompt if you like. Then, of course, also the diverse needs are met, because students will, in my activity, have worked together, and I created pairs or small groups. And also the student that maybe was a bit shyer in the group, he engaged in asking questions and reading text. It was really nice. Of course, if done in the right way, which means you have a project in mind and you know what the outcome should be, the results of the students really change for the better. Okay. Are there cons? Of course there are, and we have to check that we use platforms and the tools that are created for the school, that they are GDPR compliant and FOPA and FERPA, and you have to check, of course. And in Italy nowadays, the laws are becoming stricter and stricter, and every school has to write a sort of protocol about what kind of LLM the teachers are using and how they are using it. So it's becoming more difficult, but I understand that the data concern and privacy concern is really important. Equity issues, of course. And then teacher training, we have to mention this, because maybe if you are here, you are open to innovation. As we said before, change is inevitable, but teacher training is fundamental. So where do you find teachers, trainers that can help you? Of course, there are a lot of things online, but when you have to choose a course online, you don't know if the course is the right thing for you and if you have to pay for it. So teachers must be trained. Teachers need to be trained and should want to be trained. The big problem, for example, I talk about Italy because I'm Italian. Sometimes there is the problem that no one wants to step into the unknown, saying, okay, AI it's too difficult, I don't want to deal with it. Okay, but as we said before, the change is there and it is not going away. At least we should know what AI at school implies, and then of course you can decide if you want to use it or not, but we have to be competent, and this is important nowadays. And then there is a collaborative approach needed, because we need to understand what AI, personalizing learning through AI is, and work all in the same way. So let's get into it. You see here also, by the way, these pictures that you see here, so this infographic was created with napkin. Napkin is something I discovered thanks to, I will write the name in the chat. So if you want, it's still free, I think. Napkin, like the napkin towel. You can create wonderful infographics like this by just, of course, giving some details, and it is very effective. Okay, thank you, Andy. You are wonderful. Okay, from the limited knowledge that students have just after having read maybe two poems, and after having had let's say an hour lesson about the historical background, we start doing something more. So we will have an interdisciplinary exploration, propaganda, history, and something else. We will start activating learning with AI and the multimedia production. Then we will really foster critical thinking, analyzing and interpreting poetry, and in the end, we will have what should be an enhanced understanding of the topic, because we got deeper and deeper into a critical analysis of the way of thinking of the authors considered. So I'm going to show you first the posters. Okay, we started with propaganda of the period of World War I. So you can see with these very powerful images, Britons, you join your country's army, God save the king, or come into the ranks and fight for your king and country, don't stay in the crowd and stare. And then another perspective, women of Britain say go. Why are these three posters so important? Because they were let's say fundamental for my activity, because I wanted my students to analyze World War One after having read two poems, just two, from different perspectives. Who are these people? The perspective, of course, of the two soldiers. One is very patriotic and the other one describes the tragedy of the war. But I wanted the crowd. So imagine you are in the crowd and you see, as in the poster of number one, you see the soldiers, the enlisted soldiers marching away. Or the government says, you come and join the army. Women, the important figure of women is really fundamental here. We could say, we could talk about the war from the perspective of the mother of a soldier, or maybe the wife of a soldier. And there could be also a third perspective, the perspective of the kid. So my father is a soldier going away to fight for the country. So you see, you start really giving the students the idea that there is something more just than some lines on a paper. You should really try to see it from with different eyes, the eyes of the different people. And you start sparking curiosity in your students, because you leave them also free to choose the perspective. Maybe girls would like to analyze this from a more feminine perspective, so the wife, the mother, or maybe they want to be the crowd. So I had mixed groups, so it was really interesting to see the results. I'm showing you the Sutori, which is can you see it? Yeah, I hope so. I think so. Sutori is another free tool that I use for this. It creates a general vertical timeline. You see it. I could scroll it until the end, but of course I could also present it here as a series of slides. But I think for the presentation today, it's better to have the timeline, because so I can show you the steps. Okay, so this was the beginning. So my students were given this story, the link. They had the propaganda posters, okay, the ones that we have seen, and then the assignment. I think the assignment is quite important. The assignment is the beginning of a thinking routine. I must admit that my student had already worked with the thinking routine, so it was easier for them to get into the activity. Of course, you should prepare your students with thinking routines. Maybe if you don't know what thinking routines are, I can just give you this link. And if you want, I can put it in the chat, because I think it's really powerful. If you do not have an idea, go to this, which is actually a very powerful toolbox. Toolbox means there are all the most important thinking routines. Look at this, categorized. And if you look at the core thinking routines, so the most important ones, if you have to start with thinking routines and MLTV, so making learning and thinking visible, start with this, the core. And the first one is circle of viewpoints. It's my favorite one. Why is it so important? It's so important because it makes your student really change perspective and they really start thinking using a different way of analyzing things. If we want to talk about critical thinking, here we have the critical thinking in the first place. So I chose a series of perspectives here. Where was it? Okay, so imagine you are one of the characters of the propaganda posters which appeared in the period of the World War I in Britain. Look at this. We have 6 different perspectives. I suggest using maybe a more limited range of perspectives. I had a big group and I knew that my students were confident with it. Otherwise, you should have 3, 4 perspectives, okay? But here I had 6 because I really wanted to push it harder. So the soldier, and by the way, with the soldier we had 2 possibilities. The soldiers like in Brooke, the one who was really patriotic, and the soldier like Owen who described the grim reality of trench warfare. Then the mother, the wife, the child, the government, and the crowd. Then, after they decided which group they wanted to describe, I had once again the description of the sentences. I am thinking, and this is what I had here from Project Zero. I am thinking of from the point of view, and then I think, io penso, I think, and then a question I have from this viewpoint. It's important because it is a 3-step activity. First, you just give the audience the starting point. So who are you? You are seeing the activity from the perspective of. And then you express your thoughts. So the critical thinking is really happening in the moment you write something down. And then there is a last question that is always opening to, let's say, a sort of a debate, or at least a moment of discussion in the class. I'm showing you the groups because as a teacher, I want then to assess what my students are doing. And if I don't get very clearly who is doing what, then with so many perspectives could become a bit difficult to follow everything. So I ask the students to write something like the first post I put. So group X, it's say the model they had to do, okay, the names, the point of view, and then they had to record their voice. So we have group 1, soldiers of culture. And then we have group 2, the point of view of a wife. So they were all boys, okay, that decided to see the point of view of a wife. And I really appreciate this idea of, let's say, shifting perspectives with a sort of gender equality, because you say, okay, you are boys, but you want to see this from a perspective which is not truly yours. So it's really a role play, I'd say. Then the enlisted crowd, the crowd point of view, the government, the mother's point of view, and the son's point of view. So we had, and I had all the class divided into 6 groups. And here is the activity. I just wanted to go back a moment to the presentation, if I can find it. Just a moment. What was the presentation? Sorry, I have to stop it just a moment because I wanted to open it, and I am sharing again, don't worry. Okay. Are you seeing the presentation now? No.
No.
No. Okay, sorry.
See you.
Okay, it's okay. Because I wanted. So now
we are back to the presentation. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, because I lost track of it and. Okay, I just wanted to show you again with an infographic what we are doing. So we are applying now the thinking routine, and we are structuring the group work. in the moment they identify their different perspectives, they really focus with their voice and choice, and this is important, what they want to do. So they are engaged because actually they are not doing what I tell you to do, but they are showing me what they decided to do. Of course, I'm there. The role of a teacher is to monitor all the activities, and we were working in a lab, and I was really busy moving from one group to another, checking perspective, helping, deciding things. But it was so nice to see all the students engaged in doing things. And, this is what happens when you try to empower your students. And empowering students is really the key for the future, because you want them to be able then to analyze things, not just the literature, of course. You want to give them the idea that they always have to ask themselves questions. They do not have just to repeat one thing, a poem or a content. They have to ask themselves questions to see that there are perspectives, and then they understand that there is a propaganda under this. So two workshops before, there was someone talking about the stereotypes, asking questions, and seeing what happens with communication. So the activity that we did with propaganda is an activity that should open students' eyes to what communication is. And maybe they will be smarter in the future. So empowering students with the activity we do at school really means that we are changing in a better way, the way they understand the reality. So the thinking routine that they were doing started with this considering different perspectives, imagine other thoughts. Of course, it promotes empathy, because as I told you, there was a group of 3 boys that decided to think about this propaganda from the perspective of a woman, of a wife. So you can really understand that it's something that doesn't happen every day. So it promotes empathy. It really fosters this emotional intelligence here. To see the things from a different perspective. So it enhances understanding, of course, because it opens your mind to at least accept that there is another perspective, and it fosters critical thinking. Okay, I just put here the 2 screenshots of 2 perspectives that we had with the activity I showed you in the story. So the crowd and the soldier. We had 6. If you remember, I asked my students first to write a text. And of course, you could say this text could have been written by AI. Oh, yes, of course, it could have, but we worked together in the lab. So unless they did it secretly, I was browsing around. Of course, they could check an online vocabulary, but of course, I asked them not to think in Italian and translating it into English, but I really saw them collaborating. They opened a shared document. And they were working together, and I was helping them, checking grammar. Of course, the level is quite an effective level in the sense that it is B2, B2C1, because it was the last year of our secondary school, and this was quite a proficient class. But I really believe they engaged, and they wanted to say something. It is a personal content, because they wanted to share their personal thoughts. And then I asked them to record their voice. And so there you could see there is here this symbol. And one task was when you are at home, you will decide who is going to read the text, and you record your voice. This was the first idea. Then while we were working, I discovered a new tool, and that was this a tool that really made pictures alive. So I I studied, I learned how to use it. And then the next hour I said, okay, there is something more that you could do. And they really liked it. And they decided to sort of stage the little movie, little clip, let's say, little clip with, again, a picture that was invented. The first picture was this one. You see a crowd. It was AI generated with, I think, I don't remember what it was. So something that they could use in class. Okay. So this is what we did. By the way, these infographics are always done with napkin, so I think they are quite effective. So they used AI to create these first pictures here, and then they wrote the text, and I was there, and I helped there checking maybe some mistakes, some grammar. They recorded the audio, so they practiced speaking, and they did it not just once. They did it more than once, and if there were problems, I told them, okay, maybe you can have a better version. They did it at home because in class there was maybe too much noise. Anyway, in the end, we had a first try. And I think that in the future, I really would like to work a bit more on these, because sometimes they do not care about the pathos they should really put into recording their voice. They are not they're not used to doing this, but maybe in the future I could work a bit more on this. Anyway, and then they share it in the story. Then the third step was the interaction with the chatbots. If you remember, I told you that I used Mizu. This is the tool. And I put here also the committed, they are committed to data privacy. So we are, we could use it at school. By the way, they were also, all the class was already 18. So I was okay with using it with them. But anyway, this tool is COPPA, FERPA, and GDPR compliant. So it's okay. I wanted to share two things. First, the benefit of using chatbots. And of course, bear in mind that if you use a chatbot, after the first moment of surprise, because the first time I brought, I asked my student to work with a chatbot. They were really super enthusiastic. They didn't know what it was. It was the first time we used it in my school. But then, of course, you know, this surprise, if it is not based on something, it is not going to last. So you have to create this activity, which is not just, okay, spend half an hour talking to a chatbot. It doesn't really work. You have to say, okay, you have a limited time, and then we will have a general discussion, and you tell me about your experience. And I saw something really interesting, because after talking to Owen, for example, okay, Owen, by the way, died a week before the end of World War One. Okay, a week before the armistice in November 1918. And in the chatbot, one student, he called me and said, teacher, there is something wrong here. What is wrong? He is saying that he survived the war. And I told him, okay, let's write in, no, you died in the war. And the chatbot, of course, learns from the mistake. And he said, oh, yes, yes, you're right. Okay, so I died during the war, but my memory will last forever, and so on. But in the end, we were together and we discussed all the things that were positive, but also the negative and the mistakes of the chatbot. So it was really a moment in which students felt that they were competent in things, because they studied literature. They knew that was something wrong. So it was not easy to fool them. And they felt they were empowered. And I was happy to see them so engaged, telling me that they spotted the mistake. And I said, okay, this is what we need to know. Don't believe everything the machine tells you, because it's not like this. So using a chatbot helps because it is a personalized support. It could be also a tutor. It is an interactive learning. It enhances critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, citizenship, and character. By the way, these things here are the 6 C's of the 26 C skills of the 21st century. So every time you analyze a new tool, think about this. Are you working with critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, citizenship, and character? If yes, you are doing a great job. So, as I told you before, we always focus on the fact that we need to have a feedback after working with the machine, with AI. So they worked in groups or in pairs, and then we had a class discussion. So this is really important to get the feedback. Otherwise, it's a very sterile activity, and it doesn't really bring a change in your classroom, let's say, panorama. This is the prompt that I used to create my chatbot. As I told you, Mizu is free. Of course, there is also a paid version with some more possibilities, but at least you can create how many chatbots you want, and the prompt was very easy. So the student will take the role of a journalist interviewing Wilfried Owen. Artificial intelligence plays the role. So Mizu is the role of Wilfried Owen, the war poet who wrote Dulce de Cormest. AI answers questions about ideas, feelings about the war, and tries to engage students. And I put the grade because it's important to have the level of English which should be suitable with your class in a Socratic dialogue, fostering critical thinking, active reflection. AI always ends asking a question. So I really want to stress the attention to this idea of putting the word Socratic dialogue, and when you write the prompt for your chatbot, this is a game changer. The Socratic dialogue means that the AI, the chatbot, is asking you then things back. So it is not just a conversation, one-way conversation. It's always stimulating, and you can ask, stimulating, fostering critical thinking and active reflection. These things really gives you the idea of an activity that is really engaging. And then, because I think I have to move to the, yes, there is Yoda coming for me. Okay, Yoda, I'm closing. Thank you. Okay, so the step 4, we are generating talking pictures. I don't know if you know vid notes over there, and if you are so kind as to write the vid notes in the chat, would be really nice. With it, we have the possibility to transform. Just a moment, because I want to share this thing for you. So this is this, for example, the chat, the animation of this picture. So my students created the picture. You see a woman of in the beginning of the 20th century, okay, and then they tried. Let's see if I hope you can listen to it. I checked. Let's see if it works.
He left the house.
Can you
We
hear?
got married this summer,
Yeah?
and they took him away from me. Now
Yes or
I'm
not?
all alone and pregnant. He didn't want to go, but
Yeah,
he
okay,
had
thank you
to.
for
The government
Faba.
say that people must sacrifice for the good of the country. But I don't believe in these lies. War isn't the good for a country. I'm worried he won't come back and I won't be able to have him back in my arms. I'm worried that we won't be able to raise a family and that they will leave us in poverty. I miss him so much. I still remember to these days when we were younger, and he used to do everything to win my heart. I didn't know it, but those were the best memories of my life. Since he left, I can't sleep well in the nights. Being alone in the bed makes my thoughts kill me. What do you do if one day a soldier come to your house and tell you about your husband's death?
Okay.
He left the house. We got married.
Stop it. Okay. Of course, it's not perfect, but it was something unusual, and it was really nice and interesting to see students engage in doing this. I think that the text, more than just being recorded with the voice, was really effective with the AI voice. Of course, it was not my student's voice, but it was a selected voice, English and female and young and so on. So I think it was the possibility for them to get the idea that working at school on literature could be something also interesting, engaging, and fun. And so I really believe that this work was effective. I wanted to show you the end. Okay, so the final step was a reflection, an exit ticket, a self-assessment of personal skills. We considered the impact of AI on the learning of the students. And then, of course, it was not just a formative assessment. It was then a summative assessment, which was done in an oral test, asking them to reflect more deeply on the topic of World War I. And I can assure you it was a success. My students were engaged, were happy, and they wanted to do more things like this, and I can understand. And I really would like to go on working in this way. So I think I managed to stop in time, and I really thank you for listening to me.
Oh, Daisy, yes, you were spot on with the time. What a fantastic, such an interesting talk. I mean, I've been taking notes and keeping websites there on the side screen. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that people agree with me that it was a very, very interesting and useful session here. Thank you, Daisy. Such an interesting topic. Amazing. Super interesting in content and agile. Thank you. That's our co-coordinator, Leandro. Elsa Canario says, thank you so much, Daisy. Well, amazing, really nice, so useful. Thank you so much, Daisy. It's been great. And it's been great to be monitoring your session. It has allowed me to learn a lot about what you're doing. Thank you.
I'm very happy, and I have to thank you for having me. So thank you very much.